Those will probably be done at forums. In order to do that, we'll have travel out here by our consultant. We'll have, there may be a meal that's based around it. Then there will be applications that come in. Those applications will be vetted to a certain extent. That work will be done by the consultant. But in addition to that, there may need to be additional work that's done. And then you could have consultants from all over the country. You could have consultants from all over the county. You just don't know what's going to happen. You've got to winnow them, make some decisions about it. And then it's not unusual to then have them fly here to be interviewed by the committee that's looking into this. There's those expenses, put them up. And then you might get down to some finalists and decide that you want a representative group of people from your committee to go to where that person came from to talk to people in that area where they worked or where they'd worked in the past. And so I think that there's input as to how we're going to do things, but the reason we appointed an ad hoc committee was to get the ball rolling and then to do that.
Trustee Otto, I hate to correct you, but you were using the word consultant, and I think you meant the word candidate flying in.
No, I meant consultant.
Right, and then that's the point I was trying to make, is that the consultant travel is already included in the base rate of
We were very firm about that.
$32,000. So what my question is, this $28,000, what's that based on? It seems quite a lot of money, and it's double what they've proposed. I don't understand why these candidates can't fly in on their own dime if they don't have a vested interest. I mean, we should be very nimble with our spending. And then also, why are we paying? I was under the impression that we're hiring this firm to do the recruitment, not the advertising and, developing brochures. That's really something that we could do internally and in-house.
Yeah, you are right on target. We are hiring them for the first amount, for the $32,000. That includes all the consultants' travel. The second travel being mentioned is the candidates.
I got
So,
that.
yeah, and also.
What are those
you-
incidentals?
But you're very perceptive, because we don't have to hire them to do a brochure. We don't have to do that. So you're absolutely right. It's a two-pronged approach. And the first prong is to hire the consultant to work with us and to do headhunting and searching and all that. The second is what we choose to do. And we will choose to do this, and everything we choose will be approved by the board. In other words, we're not going to go fly in 10 people and then come and say, okay, now we're going to pay for this. So we will come to the board.
I guess I don't understand why we can't approve a $32,000 contract. And since the ad hoc committee is going to come back for authorization from the full board, when those potential expenses arise, we can bring it forward. Then why do we have to reimburse a consultant to do that for those expenses? Why can't we just directly pay these people or pay for the brochure itself? Why do we have to build it into their contract up front? It's just, I think it would be a much more fiscally responsible way of managing this pot of money instead of, I mean, if you're going to bring it to the board anyway, why can't we just add on to it when you bring it to the board? Why do we have to build it in up front and double the amount that is being proposed?
Trustee Kellogg's going to give you his answer.
Well, no, not my answer. It's not my answer. It's just the answer to the question that I believe that you said about why do we not do many of these things, for example, on travel. The challenge you have on anything like this, right now you have a consultant, everything is going to be flowing through that individual. It makes it a lot simpler. When people have a tendency to say the word we, which is fine until that we becomes an actual person. So who's that person going to be here at Long Beach City College? Is it going to be our executive secretary, Jackie, who's going to handle all these items? And so what you do is you start to get very convoluted potentially. And so, yeah, you are looking to this individual and you would reimburse that individual, but it essentially becomes something that allows a process to move more efficiently and you pay that individual or they reimburse that individual if we want to do it. But to then suddenly say, well, we're going to do this or that, or this person's going to do this or that, as we mentioned, we are really against a very tight time frame. We're going to do it the right way, and it has been done the right way using the same format. So that essentially is why we would reimburse this person for any expenses and let them handle it and keep it in that one individual, help us move the process forward. Does that answer it?
So what does the $28,000, what's the basis for that? How did you come up with $28,000 to add on top of the proposal that ACCT submitted? What's that based on?
We put the scope of work together, and we advertised with a request for proposals, and they came in, and 2 of the 3 came in about these same prices.
Right, they came up with a $32,000 proposal, but you guys are recommending, or staff is recommending, to add on top of their proposal, which was $32,000, another $28,000 for incidentals, I mean, it seems very high. I've never seen anything, this level of contingency, 50% contingency built into a contract of this size. I mean, if it was 10% built in, that's usually what has been proven to be prudent, but to build 50% for these costs, and it's, I wasn't under the impression that we RFP'd this work out for the firm to develop brochures and mailing and do the advertising and the semi-final and finalist travel costs, or
if I can interject, the amount is very standard to just about every search that's conducted throughout the nation. I mean, certainly you can remove it all, and it's going to slow down your process. But that's your choice. The consultant, I mean, you're talking about bringing together literally hundreds of people, putting forums together, paying for costs of bringing people together, having meetings off-site, renting space to have meetings. There are a number, I mean, you want to conduct interviews in a place that has some privacy, where the candidates don't see each other. You want to maintain confidentiality. That is all going to cost if you want a very solid process. So this is not unique to this RFP. I mean, if you wanted to come back to every board meeting, then you're going to significantly slow yourself down, because there's only one board meeting a month between now and next March, I believe.
Right, and I'm not suggesting that. I have full confidence that, our committee is going to be able to bring recommendations when it's the appropriate time. But because President Baxter was mentioning that each time it'll come to the board, it just makes this superfluous. It makes it a little bit, like, if the committee's going to come back to us for authorization anyway, why build it in ahead of time? That's my question. And where did that $28,000 come from? What's that based on? Because the recruiting firm's own proposal is $32,000. I don't want to take too much time, but I just want us to consider perhaps cutting down that margin a little bit. Maybe there's a halfway point that we can start off at. I don't know what kind of reporting you were envisioning, President Baxter, as far as the frequency is concerned. Not to hinder the process, but we'd like to get some insight into that.
Okay, I'm going to defer to Vice President Gable, who was more involved in this.
Yes, I was one of 3 that reviewed the RFPs, but the additional amounts came directly from the RFP. So within there, they spelled out, these are optional things that you could do. If you have 6 to 10 candidates at this dollar amount, then the price range would be this. And so what we did was we selected the highest price ranges within the RFP to get to the $28,000. So they truly are a menu of a la carte things that the board can choose to do or not to do. And so in order to try to get the contract approved and to give the board the opportunity to move forward more quickly, we were putting those options into this board approval tonight.
I see. I appreciate the clarification because the way it reads, it's not really crystal clear that this was part of their proposal, and it was baked into it, and it's an optional item that they built into their proposal. So I would support that. You guys went through that sort of process.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, and we will have, just so people do know, now we'll begin at the next meeting. Every meeting, we're going to have some items to discuss and to approve. And if at that point in time, individual members don't want to take the recommendations of the consultant, if you say, and part of there is to do certain things, and we want to, as a board, want to make some different alternatives, that's the discretion of the board. But again, we need to utilize this consultant to help us work through the process, and as was mentioned by Trustee Otto, to keep the process moving forward, because it's a challenge. And as I did mention, I think some of the first things we as a board are going to have to consider is a few items, including what are we going to do in the interim between hiring someone full-time and who's going to lead the college during that period of time. And those are the type of questions that we're going to have to deliberate and move forward on. So there's going to be, it's a simple process in many ways. We want to hire a new superintendent president, but it's never easy because there's a lot of things we have to deliberate and move forward on. And we will keep moving forward.
Okay, Trustee Otto?
Yeah, and just to keep this in context, the markets out there, the pools are relatively thin now for a variety of reasons. A lot of people are retiring. A lot of people are trying to come up through the ranks and don't have all that much experience. And it is not unusual for community college districts to go back out because their search was unsuccessful. And one of the things you can do to prevent that from happening is to have a good process whereby you move right along and you don't get sidetracked by things that can happen during these processes. And I think that what can happen is that unless you, in a responsible way, pursue this job is to find a new superintendent president, you can get caught off guard and the expenses can balloon, double, triple.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, I'll call for the question.
Virginia Baxter.
Aye.
Jeff Kellogg.
Aye.
Vivian Malauulu.
Aye.
Doug Otto.
Aye.
Sunny Zia.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you. 9.2, approving the Citizens Oversight Committee amended and restated bylaws and application. And this is an action item, so we need a motion.
So moved.
Okay, moved by Trustee Zia,
Second,
seconded by Trustee Otto.
can I make a?
Yes.
Yeah, Trustee Z and I met with Vice President Gable to talk about this process. I think we both feel pretty comfortable with the changes that have been made in the process, and we're anxious to move this forward. And we are asking that the number of members on the Citizens Oversight Committee be made 9 instead of the 7 that it currently is now. And we hope that that the applications can be made available right away, and that they can be out there for 30 days, and then through the process that we've identified, we can get 2 new members, because it's important to have the committee up and running at full strength.
President Baxter.
Yeah, Trustee Zia.
Thank you, President Baxter. I also like to echo Trustee Otto's remarks. When this item first came before us in June, I raised the question of the process followed, and I want to give credit to Trustee Otto for supporting that, and my efforts to really open this up, and also the rest of the board. Thank you for your commitment to making sure that this is something that is fair and it's transparent and it's equitable. So I want to just put it out there in the community, since there's been a lot of inquiry to see how they're going to be able to apply some of those type of questions. We've attempted to answer those questions, by way of the application system that we've put together and are recommending to the full board. The bylaws also walk you through the selection or the criteria that we put in place in the background that we expect to see from the applicants. And I really want to commend Vice President Gable for your efforts. It was really great. You were very diligent, and your team. So I really appreciate what you have done on such a short time turnaround time, and you researched other agencies. That was really great, and other districts. So I commend you. Job well done, and I look forward to approving this item, and appreciate the rest of the board's support in the leadership efforts on opening up this process.
Trustee Malauulu?
Thank you. I have one question and just a comment on the actual application page. I'll start with the comment. Maybe somewhere on here, when the final application goes out to the public, you guys can consider including to use additional space if necessary, only because the question, why do you want to serve on the Citizens Oversight Committee, is just limited to one line. Maybe if you could add, use additional sheets of paper. There's a couple of questions where if I were completing this application, I would probably want to write a paragraph. So maybe throw that in there somewhere, use additional sheets.
If I may, this will be a fillable form, and so it will expand based upon their responses.
Perfect. Are you only accepting online submissions?
No.
But just in case, maybe a good disclaimer down there that they can. And then the other question I had, and I'm not sure if it's even required or not, but I remember we had a pretty lengthy discussion about the Form 700. Do applicants need to submit a form? Was that established?
Yeah, thank you. If I may, President Baxter,
If
respond
so,
to that.
I think it should be disclosed somewhere on here.
I think the law is you don't complete the Form 700 till after you're appointed, right? Correct? I mean, I don't think we can ask everybody who applies.
I understand. If it's included on here, to say that, applicants, upon selection would need to be required to do that, I think it would be responsible on our end to disclose that. Sometimes people might not be aware that they might have an interest that they don't know would preclude them from applying.
Well, or the opposite, that sometimes people don't want to reveal their
Correct.
situation, and so they do need to be told at the time of application that they
Correct.
will be expected to complete a Form 700 conflict of interest.
It's in the bylaws, it's in the attachment, but I see it's attachment A, the ethics policy statement, where it's memorialized. But I do see Trustee Malauulu's point, and perhaps I think I understand what you're alluding to, Trustee Malauulu, that you want it memorialized in the application itself. Is that what you're?
I think it needs to be disclosed that upon selection, there needs to be language that the Form 700 is required. I know that for the city commission on which I serve, it is stated on, your initial application that you will have to complete that form.
Yeah, we do have a statement in the application that says, are you willing to comply with the ethics code included in the bylaws? So I would infer that if they read that and they don't know what the ethics code is, that they would then go to the bylaws, which states that they have to do a Form 700.
Okay.
I have a question. Someone I heard, and maybe it was you, Trustee Otto, said 30 days. Because we have moved the date of the meeting up to October 18th, and then the next meeting, it may not be till November 15th, is there any way we could get 2 additional people approved by the October 18th meeting, or is that impossible?
No,
I think it may be a little bit short window. We could have it be even by November 9th, by November 15th, or by November 1st. More of a timeline would be, I would recommend that instead of a tighter window, so it's fully open and there's no question about the advertisement period.
And how is this going to be advertised?
So the intent was that we would bring the recommendation to the December meeting, so that way we would have the 30 days to advertise. We would also provide the staff time to convert this to a fillable form for the application. We'll be posting it on the website, and we will be advertising within the Press Telegram.
Okay, so when,
So when do you see the deadline for submission? Like the end of October?
Yeah, the end of October. And then now with the new process, we're going to have to get schedules together with the board president, the superintendent president, or his designee, as well as the COC chair. So we're going to need to give them time to review the applications that come in and then get it on the board. The next Citizens Oversight Committee meeting is January 23rd. So even if we make the recommendation at the December meeting, that's plenty of time for them to attend the next Citizens Oversight Committee meeting.
okay, so were you thinking of advertising this by the end of September, which is this Friday? Is that the intent?
We were going to get it advertised as soon as we can. I was hoping not to be tied down to a date tonight, but it is something I know of urgency. So we'll need to work with the communications department to get it out and advertised and posted on the website.
Okay, then I would recommend having an advertisement period of at least 30 days. But since it's coming back to us by December, just being cognizant of the ample time for the public to be able to put in their applications. That's what I would like to see.
Is it possible, and you could tell me no because it may not be legal, if there was a way that we could publicize in social media on our own social media accounts, or is that illegal or not possible?
Speech, so you probably can do that.
Once it's posted publicly,
It's fine.
anybody
Okay.
can forward it.
Right.
Yeah, and I would encourage all of us to send it to our constituents and broadcast it so we get great participation and they have the awareness that it's out there.
Okay, I need to restate the motion because the way it's listed down below is not correct. So that the Board of Trustees approve the Citizens Oversight Committee amended and restated bylaws and application as submitted.
Great. And I
Okay.
had one last comment.
Oh, I'm sorry, Trustee Otto.
Yeah, and I just wanted to be real clear. The way this came about was that several of us in conversations, including Vice President Gable, Executive Vice President Bynum, and Superintendent President Oakley, talked about this process as it was coming forward and saying that it needed improvement, and that we were going to improve this process as this thing went forward. Now, we were a little late to the fair because we didn't catch this a couple months ago, but it became clear to us all that that's what was going on and that we would make efforts. And this is the culmination of all the efforts, including the comments that Trustee Zia made at the board meeting and other trustees made as well. So I just wanted to be real clear about that.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Okay, we'll call for the question.
Virginia Baxter.
Aye.
Jeff Kellogg.
Aye.
Vivian Malauulu.
Aye.
Doug Otto.
Aye.
Sunny Zia.
Aye.
Okay, reports. Academic Senate.
Thank you, Board President Baxter. Tonight, I have no report.
Excellent. Superintendent President Oakley.
Yes, thank you, Board President Baxter. I just want to thank everyone who worked on putting together the Long Beach College Promise event that we had last week. It was a wonderful opportunity to once again celebrate the Long Beach College Promise. Thank you to Mayor Garcia and his team for hosting it this year. And thank you for everybody who came out to celebrate. Then the only other thing I have is just a reminder that the Hall of Fame luncheon is coming around the corner. It is on October 14th. And we will induct into our Hall of Fame Al Austin Janice Krantz, Patricia Laughlin, and Phil Schrottman. So I hope everyone is there.
Thank you. Board trustees, trustee Malauulu? Oh,
Student trustee.
Oh, don't mind.
oh, what, I really have something going on there. Yes, well, yes, it's because you're at the bottom of the page. Okay, student trustee.
Oh, I'll be here till the end
Nomili.
anyway. So, quick report. Just if any of you are interested, we're having an open training on parliamentary procedure and Brown Act for the ASB cabinet on October 7th. If any of you are interested in attending, it's open to the public. And we're really excited to have a full board and have them ready to start the year, a month in. And then I do want to elaborate some goals that we adopted as an ASB, I guess, organization. Two that I want to specifically highlight, because I've noted that some of them actually align with our board goals, but two of them that do stick out to me that we discussed a little bit today was to increase student engagement, which will be hopefully working with getting more students involved with events here on campus and working hopefully with the communications department somewhere along the line. Some discussions we'll have later on. And then the second one was to support the student services on campus. So having a lot of maybe workshops and a lot of student-centered discussions about the services and how students really see those services and how we can better advertise them on our part, excuse me. And then I do want to give a shout out to student equity. I was really excited when we saw the student equity speakers. Super stoked for that. Last year we had some awesome turnout there and really excited to have 3 more wonderful speakers this year. And then just really excited about a couple bills that passed, specifically one, 2455, which would be voter registration, which would allow, require community colleges to link students when registering to the college to have an affidavit to register to vote. So increase that population for the number of students that are registered to vote to make us not historically the lowest number of voter registered population. So really excited there, and that's about it. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Okay, trustee Malauulu.